Hi everyone, Woods of Odin here, giving my 2 cents about the National Day of Prayer. Recently it was declared unconstitutional, and in the description I will have a link to a debate that took place on CNN between Christopher Hitchens and some other guy. Christopher Hitchens wrote God is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything. I recommend the book if you are interested in the theist versus atheist debate. Now then, I agree with this decision. Now, I'm no constitutional scholar, so my interpretation could be completely hosed up, but the First Amendment says that Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of any religion. And in my opinion, having a nationally recognized, as in recognized by the federal government, Day of Prayer is respecting the establishment of religion, and considering that our culture, not nation, our culture is Protestant mostly, then one could argue that it is a very roundabout way of respecting the establishment of American mainline Protestantism. I don't necessarily think so, but it is certainly respecting the establishment of some kind of religion. So I think the federal government really ought to stay out of religious matters entirely. Except to say that no, freedom of religion is not justification for not taking your sick child to the hospital or something like that. But, yeah. Okay, now then. Nobody is telling you that you can't pray. Nobody is saying that the holiday has suddenly become illegal or anything like that. If you want to use the holiday as a day of promoting prayer, promoting your religion, and taking time out to pray, be it publicly or privately, you certainly can, and I encourage it. Why? Because if you are of the philosophy that you should encourage others to practice your religion, then you need to own up to it and justify it. And I think the more religious people talk, and I'm primarily talking about the Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, but there are certainly pagans who are flaky or just crazy. There are certainly, I'm sure you could run around and find crazy Baha'is and all this, but it's generally the big three religions that want to convert everybody. If what's going to happen is you're going to talk and you're going to essentially pwn yourselves. More and more people are realizing that at least the fundamentalist versions of these religions are nutty. And I think open prayer and public discussion of such ideas will serve to, well, expose the insanity of many religions. Now, I consider myself an agnostic. My own brand of well, yeah, it's a religion. So I would say my own brand of religiosity is extremely unusual and is probably absurd to a lot of other people. I would call myself an agnostic Satanist who practices a lot of chaos magic and who works with a lot of Germanic imagery because that's what exists in my own head. I do not expect anybody to, well, I don't expect anybody to even believe any of this. Now then, I'm checking my time. Okay, so I got lots of time here. One of the reasons why I use this negative so people can't see my face is because I would like to be very blunt with those people who would force other people into their religion. And part of that bluntness is letting you guys know that I hallucinate I'm hallucinating right now. There are two invisible people in the fucking room right now. Okay? This is I am genuinely a crazy person. Okay? I mean I aside from the negative. I'm a normal human being and flesh and blood, but I'm a crazy person. When I go outside, there are rivers of energy that I feel rivers of energy that go around the trees. And my world contains hidden folk, okay? Things like elves and gnomes, and I don't literally see them, but I feel them. In the winter, like around midwinter, um, there's a period of a few days, shortly before December 25th, what many would call Christmas, and into the new year, so shortly after January 1st, there is a period of time in which I sense entities, invisible people, whatever you want to call them, hanging out in my house, particularly at night. I am not playing with a full deck. I haven't sought psychological help because I can discern what is real, what other people see and hear, what is consequential, and what isn't. And I mean, well, it would be really hard to communicate what this is like, but I know well enough to know that other people don't see it or feel it or whatever you want to hear it, etc. Fine. So it's not going to benefit anybody much if I just assume that it is actually real. And so one of the most irritating things for me about fundamentalists is they choose to live in a reality that other people really don't live in. In fact, while certainly many fundamentalists, or at least some of them, may be genuinely not right in the head, there are a lot, I suspect, that they don't hallucinate. They don't see things. They don't fucking feel things and hear things. They have no excuse to sit here and try to impose their religious beliefs upon everybody else, especially via this huge organization that has monopoly on the use of force and has monopoly on the currency. Yeah. So, I mean, I have absolutely no need to enforce my own very unusual beliefs upon anybody. Why? What would be the purpose? Why? And yet we have these people with these boneheaded, I mean, they will actually sit there with a straight face and tell other people that there's an omnipotent being that had a son that died and was resurrected, which, by the way, not much of a sacrifice, is it? So that he could accept his children into his home because we all have this invisible sin thing because other people performed certain actions that were wrong, i.e., seeking knowledge, wrong. And so the rest of us are somehow guilty. And this entity rose from the dead, and if we don't believe in all this nonsense and in